Hey guys, welcome to this video over stereotypes and biases. Stereotypes and biases in writing often lead to poorly written and inaccurate content. So it's important to not only be aware of biases and stereotypes, but also that you are able to identify them in your own thinking and writing. Removing biases and stereotypes from your writing will increase your credibility as a writer, assuming you also use appropriate grammar. But not only will it increase your credibility as a writer, but removing it from your speech can help to increase your overall credibility as a person. In this tutorial, we will take a look at how each are defined, some examples, and at the end of this video, we'll walk through some examples to help you identify and eliminate biases and stereotypes. First, stereotypes. A stereotype is a preconceived, sweeping conclusion about an individual or an entire group of people that can be either good or bad. Now, here is a problem with stereotypes. A stereotype places a uniformity and consistency on the human race that does not align with reality. Human beings are not consistent enough to be always or never anything when it comes to human behavior. So any stereotype places an always or never statement on an entire group of people or on an individual associated with a larger group of people. Therefore, a stereotype is also a logical fallacy. Guys, let's be real. We all have stereotyped, and more than likely will stereotype again at some point in the future. Because, like I said, we aren't consistent enough to be always or never. However, the more we become increasingly aware of the ways that we stereotype and put intentional effort into not doing it, then the more natural it will become for us to not do it. Now, let's look at some common examples of stereotypes that you've probably heard people make, or perhaps you've made them yourself. Men are physiologically stronger than women. Rich people are snobby. People who wear cowboy boots are rednecks. Asians are better at math. White people think and act like they are entitled. Now, I would be remiss to not give a little debrief for those of you still asking, these things aren't true? It's important to keep in mind that stereotypes are generally made based off of that person's particular experience. So, in one person's experience, it may be true, though highly unlikely, that all rich people have been snobby to them. The problem is that the rich people that they've had run-ins with do not represent the entire population of people who are wealthy. Okay, lady, well, what about the first example? Surely men are physiologically stronger than women. Okay, this one may be the one that I hear most often. Here's the thing though. It is true that most men, or on average, men are physiologically stronger than women are. The problem, however, with the statement men are physiologically stronger than women is that there are exceptions. For example, if you take a female who is a bodybuilder, she may be way stronger than the average male, and perhaps even stronger than a few of her male bodybuilding colleagues. So the correct way to make this statement would be to say, on average, men are physiologically stronger than women. I would go through each example, but I think you guys get the idea. Bias. Now, a bias is basically just a personal preference, which we all have. People can have preferences towards anything. Food, political sides, cultures, music, sports, specific races, ways of thinking, anything. You guys know that saying, you're a product of your environment? Well, obviously that's not entirely true, but there are certainly ways in which we form our opinions and thoughts based on past experiences, and this typically leads to biases. For example, let's say that you had a really positive experience working on a project with a particular kind of person. Well, when you cross paths with a person who has resembling qualities, you'll be more prone to believe that they will be a good project partner. This is true for past negative experiences as well. If you have a bad experience working on a project with a particular kind of person, then you will be more likely to think that someone with similar qualities will be bad to work with. We are very often conditioned into our biases. Perhaps the most tricky bias for us to be aware of is ourselves. We typically think that what we say, think, and do is right. Most people don't think that what they think, say, or do is wrong, or else they wouldn't do it. Even things you typically might not agree with. The moment you are actually doing what you, in another moment, would deem as wrong, you found an internal means of self-justification for why you're doing it. And this idea of self-affirmation leads to, like I said, the most tricky kind of bias to be aware of. After all, the only perception that we have is our own. That is why when writing or speaking, we need to approach it with an understanding that we have limited perspectives and that we're not right about everything. Approaching writing and speaking with this mindset allows for us to be thoughtful and considerate of views and perspectives that don't directly align with our own. I hope that this video over bias and stereotype has been really helpful. If you enjoyed it, then be sure to give us a like and subscribe to our channel for future videos. See you guys next time.